Um, Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube series for Building Generative AI Platforms, Part 5. I'm Sposh and I'm excited to take you on a deep dive into the fascinating world of generative AI and building a generative AI platform. In this series, we have been discussing an amazing sets of blogs by Chip Huan, who have been a professor at Stanford for machine learning system design, and her works in the field of system design in the machine learning space have been widely recognized. And in this particular part of the series, we have already discussed till part 4. In case you haven't watched the earlier parts, I would recommend you to please go back and have a look over those parts and then come to this particular segment. In this particular series, we have been discussing how we can build a robust generative AI platform from scratch. And the final architecture that we would be building looks something similar to this. However, in the earlier parts, we have discussed how we can come up to this set of architecture, in which in the first session we started with a simple query and then using a model API and returning a response. Then we realized that we can improve the quality of the response if we do some sort of context construction. In that, we were using these retrieval techniques, agents, query rewriting, getting some of the data from databases, and using some of the tools or agents. Then, in the second aspect, we try to include some of the guardrails so that we can make sure the data that's going into the model API is secured for personal identifiable information. And also the output that is coming from the model, it's as per the safety intent standards that we have, and it's in form of structured outputs as to what we require. Then in the third session, we learned more about the model routing and model gateway, because a lot of times user might be giving all sets of different inputs and we might have a sets of services. So for the correct set of input, we need to map it, route it to the correct set of services. And a lot of times these gateways also help us to implement the failback policies or the failback mechanism so that our services are up to the point even at the downtime. Then in the last section, we discuss more about the cache, the need for the cache, how it helps, and the various forms of different caches that we can implement and at what positions in our architecture. In this particular session, we are going to discuss more about one of the aspects that's left now, that is regarding the write actions and the how the whole input and output is being connected. So without further ado, let's deep dive into that. Yeah. So in this particular step, what we discussed till now was we had a very simple flow. And generally what happens, the output that we have generated, those are passed to the users. However, when we are building applications, the flow can be much more complex with loops and conditional branching. For example, what could have happened is our model would have generated some sort of response. And maybe if we are building a multi-agentic system, it might be the case that we need to pass that particular output to another agent that we have within our sets of different agents or the crews that we have. So in that case, that output might go again. So in a similar sense, according to need, we would be having much more complex workflows, and in which the final output that we might have might go into the system again and again, so that we are able to do all the steps that were intended for a complex action. And one of the easier ways for the output that we have generated, we again pass that output into the model input that we have. And the second thing is that's intended mostly with the agents that we have. A lot of times, if we are building an application which helps user to, for example, I said to maybe my agent, AI agent, email agent that please send email. This is the recipient, this is the message. And a lot of times, if the model has generated that particular uh, message, then it might need to take one more action of calling the tool of sending that particular email. And for that, we might have some sorts of write actions. There, particularly, the agent might, once we have generated the right sets of output, and if it passes through the security verifications that we have, then we are giving an agent access to writing or maybe sending those emails or updating orders. But one of the things with the right actions is these are very much prone to risk, and we need to design these right sections in a particularly good way so that we handle all the different risk associated with these things. And a lot of times, if we try to understand through what one of the risks that we have is a lot of systems. These systems are vulnerable to cyber attacks, like other software, any other software systems. And one of the things that they might have is a prompt injection. And in particularly prompt injection that happens when an try attacker manipulates input prompts into a model to get it to express undesirable behaviors. Uh, and you can think of this thing as social engineering done on AI systems instead of humans. And a scenario that a lot of companies in the industry fear is that they give an AI system access to their internal databases. And then if attacker tries to trick the system, and if they are successful in that, they might reveal private information from these databases. If this is, or system also has access, right access to these databases, then attackers can trick the system into corrupting the data that we have, and which in turn defeated all the purpose of the application that we have. And in that particular sense, the right actions are maybe very easy to design, but keeping in mind the different securities and safeties into the place, this is very important. There are a lot of libraries and companies available who are working in this space, but this whenever you are giving an agent or AI system right access, then you need to think it through in a proper way. So this particular session was about building more complex logics and writing actions, and I think we have discussed a lot of ways, or maybe a lot of given a lot of thought of why and how we can design this thing, keeping in mind of the different constructs that we have. So that's it for this session. And in the next session, we are going to discuss and in this particular session, we were able to get into the architecture that we have decided. Now, in the next session, we need to upgrade and monitor this particular architecture that we have built. And in the next session, we are going to look at a couple of more aspects of how we can have observability or monitoring into the place so that we see our system is performing well as intended, and with time how we can improve and make our platform or the system more robust. If you really like this session, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you and see you in the next session.